Hello and welcome back to the show. I am so excited about today and our guest, Lorraine Ladish, who I don't even know how to introduce her because in looking at her background and reading her bio, I'm like, what? And this and this and what? So she has so many stories to share, I know, and I'm so excited to be able to share or for her to share her stories with everyone here. A wealth of wisdom, a wealth of experience. Welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm really excited.
Um, Tell us about yourself. What's your like? If we met at a cocktail party or an elevator that we got stuck in, but only for like a brief moment of time, like how would you tell us about who you are, your story, and yeah, how would you explain yourself?
So it's funny because somebody asked me the other day, knowing what I do, what do you tell people that you do when they ask? And I said, it depends who. If it's
Uh,
somebody I just met and there's somebody my age or older, I will say I'm a writer
mm,
because they're going to understand that. If they're younger, I'll say I'm an influencer and content creator because they're going to understand what that means. And if I have more time, then I would say I'm a communicator. I
mm,
am soon 62 years old, and I think it's important to say that because the longer you live, the more of a history you have. And I joke that I invented telecommuting because when I was 20 years old and I was living in Spain and I was translating and adapting American sitcoms into Spanish back in the day with a typewriter, thank you very much, like an old typewriter. And I remember having to buy an electronic one. That was my big step up. And we still had to use carbon paper and all the rest of it. And I would type those things out, watch the video, the VHS or the beta, have the script and take it to the sound studio. And then they would give me my check. But I've been working for myself doing crazy stuff like that since I was 20. So I've been working for myself for 42 years almost. And I can look back and say I did it. So
mm,
very briefly, the range of things I've done is be working with words, a translator, interpreter. Interpreters when you speak, and I was Cindy Crawford's interpreter in Spain when she did her Revlon tour a million years ago. We were both in our 20s back then. I've written and published 19 books. Only one was self-published of all those. I have been a journalist for newspapers, but also magazines, writing longer form. I've been an editor-in-chief of publications for Latina moms in the States. The most important thing I think is that I lost everything in 2008 when I was in my 40s and I lost all my writing gigs, all my translating gigs. It was the housing crisis in Florida. It was really bad. I was separated. I was on food stamps with my two very young kids. And instead of going back to Spain, I stayed here. And I somehow, by serendipity, I found myself in the situation where I could transfer my skills, my lifelong skills of writing to a new medium, which was social media and
mm.
the digital world. And I realized, wow, this is my third language. And I wrapped
Wow.
my head around it. I made it work. And when I turned 50, I decided that I wanted to, leave room for younger people to do the mom part, even though I was an older mom, so my kids were still young. But I was like, no, what can I do in the next 10 years? And then I launched my own website and everything called Viva 50. I thought it was all for women over 50, but it turns out that now that I'm in my 60s, younger women follow me too because I'm hopefully showing them that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still do cool stuff, including improv.
Yes. I mean, I hear that and I just hear like resilience is like the theme of this, right? And just, okay, like
Yeah.
here's the scene I'm in. What do I do with this? And like moving forward, which of course we learn in improv. And since you brought it up, I know this about you, right? And that's part of what this show is all about is understanding how we improvise off stage. But you've actually improvised on stage. When did you first when did you first start taking improv classes and what inspired you to step in that door?
So my husband and I both started, he's a novelist and a writer and a college professor who teaches writing. He was a photojournalist all his life. So we're both like very much, well, you can see I hope we don't divorce because if we do, we're going to have to figure out whose books are whose because we have this all over the house.
It's
Maybe
not who gets
based
the
on
house, it's who gets the books in the house.
like, but which books? Because we have repeats.
Yeah.
But so what I mean is that we're both like that. We have this creative spirit. Like we need something new. We like new challenges, and we have friends that for years have been inviting us to go to improv and see shows. And so we used to go and watch the shows. I understood that it was all improvised. Apparently, my husband, as smart as he is, he says he didn't understand it. And I'm like,
Mm.
what do you mean you didn't understand it? So 3 years ago, I finally said, look, it was right after COVID, and I'm like, man, we have to get out of the house. We had different difficult situations with some of our kids at home, and we work from home. We live together. I was working out at home too. Like we're doing everything here, and I'm like, we need to get out. We're gonna sign up. And our friend, had actually sent us. We missed. And it's funny because we had missed the deadline for getting a discount, like if you sign up before whenever. And I'm like,
Mm.
it's okay. We're not going to get the discount, and we're still going to sign up, and boom. And I thought we would just do session one, or, the first part of it of 6 levels. Well, we did the 6 levels, and then we've been going back and repeating them. And then from there, we've done storytelling and sketch writing and acting.
Oh
And
my
now we're doing
gosh.
acting for improvisers. And now I want to do musical improv and I can't
Yes.
sing. But I love it. The few times I've
Yes.
done musical improv. So the first day, the first class, I will never forget that I felt we were both petrified, but so was everybody else. And our teacher had taken class in Second City in Chicago. So we have, another teacher was in Boston and doing improv there. And so we have teachers that are not from Florida.
Mm.
So I thought it was, something that would get us out of the house. I discovered another part of me where I could let the crazy out and it would be fine because I know
Yeah.
I'm like that. But I'm like, wow, I can just let it all out. But then the discovery of so many things just, I mean, they say that improv is a little cultish and a little addictive, and I agree
Mm.
with both. So, but I cannot imagine my life without improv now.
Mm. Well, I thank you for sharing that. I can so resonate and just, I remember my first improv class so clearly and being like super intimidated, but very quickly being like, oh, this is amazing. I can just be me and like, that's okay. And not only is it okay, it's like supported and celebrated. And I don't have to think about what's right or wrong. Like everything just is. Like it was so freeing. And I think that's part of the addiction part of it. And I've heard this with some like people that do acting as well. Like, oh, acting's so addicting because you're allowed to express parts of yourself that you don't necessarily get to or think you can in your real life. So it's like almost like letting out that energy in different ways. So clearly you drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, or you're in it. I'm curious, like if like how quickly you started to notice and what were those moments outside of the improv class where you're like, oh, I'm like using what I learned here. Like were there moments where you started to notice that the improv skills or the things you were doing in these improv classes were starting to come into your life off stage?
Of course. Of course, life is unexpected all the time. And basically, like in work, I've been improvising all my life, like acting as if, and, like my entire life. But it was more like, okay, well, let me take this in stride and just run with it. And what if? And if this is true, what else is true? And, all those concepts of
Mm.
improv, throwing them into problem solving in real life. And it really did, it's really helped us. And it not only that, it helped us, I think, as a couple, as an older couple, to reconnect
Mm.
and I mean, we're almost improving at home a lot.
Yeah.
And plus we work together, so it also spilled into my work online and the way I show up online. And it made me less, how would I say this, like less afraid of showing up the exact way I am. And
Mm,
like I've always done that, but at some level when I was younger, I thought I need to show up in this way or I'm not going to be taken seriously. As
yeah.
I got older, I think I still at some points preserved some of that, but then realized it doesn't matter because that's what experience gives you.
Yeah.
People are not wiser when they're older, but we all have more experience. So you can draw from, oh, I don't have to look all collected all the time. It's okay if I mess up. Like and so I feel that, yeah, improv helped me with that. It also helped me connect with people of all ages. Because one of the things of walking in there in my late 50s is like, who am I going to find in there?
Mm,
And we have kids who are in their 18. I've taken classes with 18-year-olds, and there I am, and I'm like, I could be their grandmother. But
yeah.
the energy and the connection that we have in improv transcends age and gender and anything else. So that's great.
Yeah. One of my best friends who's, I don't even like, definitely old enough to be my mother. I met in an improv class. I love that about it. And I've taught some workshops and things where you've got kids all the way to folks in their 70s. And um, it's so powerful. So I love that piece of it. And you brought up two like improv concepts, which both of which I love and I think are so applicable in life. But I'd love to hear more from you about what how they actually showed up in life. And one is acting as if, and the second I heard is if this is true, what else is true? So like tell us what you mean for folks that are unfamiliar with those concepts, and then also like what that looked like in your life, how you brought those off stage into your life.
So the most recent one, which is probably the one you're talking about, is that last year, my goodness, we had a series of unfortunate events that's an understatement. From my dog getting sick to my husband getting his back thrown out, me having a broken toe, then two hurricanes, actually three in Florida.
Mm,
But the first one did not really affect us that much. But then Milton, that through exactly where we live. We were not in the house at that point. We live in an old Florida home, so we evacuated to Miami, which the hurricane was not expected there. We took our dog, and the kids weren't here, so that was good. And my neighbors who have keys to the house, the next morning they come in and they text me and they're like, "We have good news and bad news." I'm like, "Oh man, what is it?" Like the good news is your house is still standing, and the bad news is that you have a tree through your roof.
oh my gosh, yeah.
And when I saw the picture, I mean, I did have like my stomach kind of dropped, because it's very bizarre to see a tree inside your house, no? And it was in my youngest kid's room, who's in college. And so as we're driving back home, I remember thinking, I got to do something with this. Like, I'm not gonna not do something with that tree. And so I came up with a skit with my husband, and there's rubble in the room and all this. My husband's like, not okay. I'm more like,
Mm,
okay, I can kind of separate myself from it. And I made him do the skit, which was, okay, honey, now you walk in and close your eyes. And I'm like, honey, I have good news and bad news. Like,
mm.
what's the good news? Well, the good news is we don't have to buy a Christmas tree. The bad news, a hurricane. We had a hurricane.
Oh
And
my god.
when I watched that again, I'm like my poor husband because I know how, and I posted the bloopers. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this," but he
So he,
rolled with it. But
and
that's
he
not the
didn't,
one that went viral.
but he didn't know. So this was like he hadn't known that a tree went through your house, and this is how
No, no,
you
he
told
knew
him.
everything. It's
Oh,
just
okay, he
that
knew.
we do.
Okay.
So we do skits online. That's something that happened after doing improv. Like okay, I make a living as an influencer in my 60s, and I did it all through my 50s entirely. And that's my 100% source of income. Everything else is accessory, even the writing. So I started thinking, wow, well, maybe we can do skits. And I would write, those are not improvised, those are come from my sketch writing. So I would
Yeah.
make very short skits about aging or about something that would pertain to that. But then I thought, let's do something with the tree. It has nothing to do with what I usually post, but that went okay. But this tree is not being taken away. We don't have air conditioning that side of the house. We don't have electricity. And I keep posting pictures of the tree and people are asking me, how is the tree? And blah, blah, blah. Someone said, why don't you put some boots on it? I'm like, oh, sure. So I put some boots on it. And then eventually that turned into putting all my boot collection on the tree, dancing with the tree. Um, and I just usually am more aesthetically like inclined and I'm a little more careful of what I post. I just posted that and it went viral like in 20 million views on my Instagram, another 20 on TikTok and on Facebook. And then I started getting requests to repost it. So the Good News Movement and this one and that one. So it was like it had, I don't know how many millions of views. The local magazines came to take pictures of it and put them on the magazine. And, it was fun. It was like the coolest content I've ever made, I think, because sometimes when I make videos that go viral, you get a lot of hate.
Hmm.
But for this one, it was amazing. Everything was cool. Young people thought I was their age. They're like, "Oh, our generation has no, respect for anything. Haha, yay, Gen Z." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm a boomer," And I learned a lot of slang from young people. I kept asking my kid, "What does this mean? What does this mean? She ate. What is this? What? Oh, slay. What is?" So, so that was very much, and then I acted as if that was normal. It
Mm.
was like if it's true that the tree is in the room and that's normal, it's normal to put shoes on it. And it was Halloween, so I did a Halloween dance. I did a cowboy dance. I like to dance too. I also practice yoga. So it's all like, you know, taking advantage. And in the end, I think what improv helps a lot with is dark humor for me.
Mm. Well, it sounds like you really like played the scene you were in.
I
There's a tree in
was.
your house, and yes, of course we love a yes and an improv. Like, yes, and now what, right? Like, no, I'm gonna put boots on it, I'm gonna decorate it. Instead of that like resistance of like and the anger or it's like you really played with it, right? This kind of playful, and in that like there's that problem solving piece of it. I mean, obviously I would think the tree is no longer in your house, I hope.
It's not, but it took a lot to get it out of here and then to cover the hole, so we
Yeah.
lived with a hole. So I'm like, oh, look, a skylight, and people are like,
Yeah.
wow, you have the best humor. I'm like, believe me, I have worse problems in my life.
But that's such a. Do you think? I'm curious if pre improv Lorraine would have responded similarly to the tree in the house, or do you think there would have been a different response to that situation?
The response would have been more or less the same in the sense of me practicing yoga and learning detachment and how certain things are not that important. But I don't know that I would have gone full on just walking through the door and before we clear anything, let's go and film and putting a
Yeah.
light in there. No, I don't think I would have done that
Yeah. And that
for
like
sure.
ability, the ability to see a hole in your roof from a tree as a skylight is like classic improv mind, right? Making a weird choice, right? Or like seeing we get to make this choice about how we show up. The things that happen to us we can't control, but we get to control how we respond. You respond in this way that's such acceptance and joy and like humor, obviously, and then look at that gift it gave you of just like this whole new maybe way of showing up online and this like experience to all the learning that came from that. It's like the epitome of improv, off like you improvised off stage in your life in this very specific what kind of like what people could see is like such a horrible thing, and you made it into this beautiful fun thing. Like,
I mean,
it's
it
such an
was again,
inspiration.
it was nice because in the middle of all the mess, and I knew that a lot of people had lost their entire house. Like I was lucky, that I have friends whose houses were completely inundated, and they had to deal with far worse than we did. And it wasn't that it wasn't difficult. I mean, there was a lot, and we had to spend money. The insurance was a nightmare. They had to come and take the tree out. They dropped it on our house. A beam broke, and that wasn't fixed until recently. So I mean, it's not like it wasn't fun,
Mm.
but it was more, like even my husband and I, it was like he was the one dealing with the insurance, calling the tree people, doing this, doing that, and dealing with all the mess of it. But he still participated. In my silliness.
Mm.
It was even that was because we do it together, and so we're connected like that. And so I just had to text him today because he's away now, and I had to say we don't have class tonight. I'm so
Oh.
sad. And I would recommend that couples do it together, to see
Mm.
because sometimes I see people they're like, oh, I wish my boyfriend or my husband would do it, but the boyfriend or husband doesn't want to do it, or the other way around. Maybe it's the wife or
Mhm.
girlfriend or the partner in general. But I feel that by doing it together, it's given us a lot of ways to deal with unexpected things with our kids, with unexpected things with work or our creative projects, and a different way of thinking, definitely,
Can you
and
give an example?
well, I don't know, it's more like why not?
Mm.
Why not? Like I've always been like that, but I think this enhanced it. Like why not this year was like why not launch a new Substack? Like everybody's
Mm.
migrating there and I'm like, man, I don't want to miss out, like I took a long time to, when Twitter was Twitter, I took a long time to jump on that bandwagon and I regretted it that I hadn't
Mm.
done it sooner. And I'm like, no, 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 we're doing it because whoop, shoop, I'm in there, and um, yeah, just, saying yes more. Like this past year, I remember going to a conference. Usually I
Mm.
used to go to conferences, social media conferences, only if I was speaking and only if they paid me and only if I had a free room and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I want to go to this conference. What can go wrong if, what, thanks to going to that conference, now I write for Yahoo creators and
Mm.
it's another source of income that I wouldn't have if I hadn't gone to that conference. And then I had another
Mm.
opportunity that came of it. But my old rule of if I'm not speaking, I'm not going and I'm not spending my money, went out the window. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm out like, I don't know, like a couple mil, but thousand, I mean, um, but but at the same time I had all these opportunities, and so that has shifted my mindset of don't be
Mm.
so rigid. Not that I ever was super rigid, but
Yeah,
even
you
more.
learned like the all the rules are made up, right? We make up
Yeah,
all these rules, and
yeah.
I think that's the I love the like today is the day concept in improv, right?
Mm.
Today is the day I do that thing that I've been wanting to do, or wear that shirt I haven't worn because I've been too insecure, or speak up for myself, or ask for a raise, or I mean, the list could go on and on. And I'm doing an experiment with some people to like test this out over 21 days if you practice the today is the day mindset. And I was writing about this and I'm like, okay, 21 days or like, and these types of things. I'm like, but the rules are made up. So if you want to do it for 20 or 20, like all of it, I think that for me from improv as someone who was much a kind of rule follower as a kid to recognize like there are no rules actually like every rule has been made up by someone. Now there are some rules that are meant to like protect people and society and so forth, sure, but like the rule of you gotta eat breakfast, that's the best meal of the day, like someone made that up somewhere. It's just make believe. I think is very like offers this self-forgiveness and liberating to not be so hard on ourselves because everything is made up by someone.
That is absolutely true. But it's interesting that I think people, I don't know, even for example, in acting, acting has helped me with improv, and improv helps me with acting, and acting has helped me. As I was telling you before, I have these crazy expressions, and I used to be just all over the place. when I was expressing myself, and but acting has helped me modulate that a little bit.
Mm,
So it's like they're brothers and sisters. I don't know, like so I enjoy that too. But one thing I love actually after 3 years of doing this is I love improvising with people who've never done it before.
mm,
Because sometimes, and I've seen this a lot, you go through the process, you love it, you think you know everything, then you realize how you don't know anything, and oh my gosh, I'm so bad because what the hell was I thinking doing this when I started, and so then I think a lot of people continue the improv journey and then suddenly it's the stakes are so high. I want to be good. I want to be like this. And oh my gosh, I don't like how my partner treated me. And oh my, I was thinking this. Why didn't you do that? And they lose that joy.
mm,
And so for me, sometimes I go to these Saturday classes where there's drop-ins. I have no idea who's going to show up. And the level of one person, maybe it's their first day ever. Another person may be improv all their life.
mm.
So I like it because usually the people who it's their first day, they don't know what the hell's going on. And of course, I've been there, and the joy, the confusion, it's just so refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of, I think that beginner's mind with anything,
Oh,
right, is so lovely. And just to give ourselves that permission to just start afresh and look at something in a new way. And there's some irony in the fact that, like, the longer you improvise, the more you maybe lose that a little bit, right? But when you go, because it trains that, right? Like every scene's a new scene, approaching it as this blank page. And I think so it's such a difficult thing in life, right? Because we have the more we live, the more experience, the more baggage, the more stories, the more we've been, experienced heartbreak and pain and been afraid of things. And, you're such a great example of someone who's continued to like reinvent and like look at things in new ways and be curious and all the things that we practice in improv. Like really living it, right? Because when
yeah.
we really do, it's just like we don't, like something that happened to us 10 years ago, like it shouldn't, we don't need to let it affect us now. But, being able to almost change our neurology. And I guess I'm a little curious too if you've noticed anything um, about how your nervous system has handled things that don't go as planned, like even with the tree or other situations where there's that what could be a stressful response, that fight or flight kind of mode. Have you noticed like a physiological difference in terms of how you navigate change and stressful situations?
So that's going to depend on how stressful the situation is, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, if
Yeah.
it's something very intense, in January I had something happen, which I can't really discuss in public because it has to do with one of our kids and it's pretty serious. But I did not have the best response, and I went to therapy for it, and I did EMDR therapy. I don't know if you're familiar
Yeah.
with it.
Hmm.
Very good, wonderful. I wish I had had it when I was young. Um, but when it's something that is not that extreme, I feel that yes, I handle things in a more offhanded way. I don't know. I just think,
Mm.
but I think that's also like a personality thing, where this is a crazy thing. You have to be open-minded enough to walk through that door to take an improv class.
Yes.
Number one, you
Yeah.
know? So how many people, as they get old, I say they because I'm not one of them. It's funny because I say that I'm a millennial and even Gen Zer, and I was that before the name was invented because I didn't live like my generation. I
Mm.
didn't conduct myself like them, and people didn't understand that I wanted meaning in my work. And what do you mean that you don't want to have a boss? And what do you mean that you don't want to be in an office and stuff like that? Like I turned down really good jobs because I'm like, what? Ask permission? What? So in improv, it's kind of the same thing. First of all, you have to have that open mind. And just even though this is not the topic of what we're covering, but to anybody afraid of aging, honestly, and then in the like you could be like, oh, an actor's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be old very fast, and then I won't get these roles, and but if you are you and you're not afraid of trying new things and of reinventing yourself, and yes, handing what happens around you and what happens to you, leaning into technology. Like, do you think I don't use AI? AI is my best friend. And so many younger people than me are like, oh my God, I hate it. I hate it. Well, the more you hate it, the more you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
So the whole point is leaning into,
Yeah.
that and using things as tools. Like in
Mm,
improv, we have a bunch of tools, right? Like all
yeah.
those, this is my tool. And so in real life, I think it's the same thing. You have all these tools. Some people use them, some people don't.
Yeah.
And it's
I
not because they're older, it's because their mindset.
Yeah, the open mind, the growth mindset, that
Mm-hmm.
transcends age, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your age is, you can have a growth mindset or a closed mindset. It's going to influence what your life is like. You mentioned tools, and as we can wrap up, and I like feel like there's so many more stories. I have like a zillion more questions. But you mentioned tools, and I'm curious. Like, yeah, we have tools in improv. We have techniques. We have practices. We have tools. Is there a tool in particular that you've learned in improv that you use in your own life to, you know, improve your day or your week or affect the change you want, like something that you're like, oh, I like, whether it's a literal game or exercise or another tool or mindset that perhaps someone listening to this might be able to try for themselves even without stepping in an improv class, but just like a simple hammer or screwdriver that you could share in terms of how you use it in your life.
It's it's very, very simple, and it's like a non-tool, silence.
Mm.
So even in real life and in improv, when I started out, I realized I wasn't letting the other person talk, and I wasn't listening.
Mm.
So before they finished whatever, I was already thinking of what I was going to say, and I was really not letting the other person, I was not supporting them. And I thought, wow. And people laugh with me in class. My husband did too. And we're like, wow, that's me in real life.
Mm.
Like, even when I'm being interviewed, or when I'm interviewing, I have to make a very conscious decision to shut my mouth and not be interjecting and not listening to what's going on in this moment. But it took improv to realize, and I still do it, like I did a class when I started doing musical improv. I love musical improv, even though I can't sing, because I love movement. So it
Mm.
gave me an excuse. There's rhythm, and I could do this and that. So I'm way more confident on the stage if I can move, right? And this poor guy, then my husband said, "You didn't let him say anything." And I'm like singing my heart out and moving, and the guy's trying to talk. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so embarrassing." But you know what? It's helped me know myself better too, and how I am in the world, and how I don't want to be in the world. Like, I don't want to be an
Mm.
interrupter and not be present and not be supporting. Like that, I'm not about that. But why am I acting like that?
Yeah. And then you get to practice that in this kind of fictitious environment, right? And build those skills. I love the improv exercise, first word, last word.
Mm.
For this, you have the conversation using the last word as your first word. And so often people realize, like, oh my gosh, I have been thinking about what I'm going to say next, whether people are talking, but now they can't. They have to listen for that last word. And it really starts to retrain our brain to listen in a new way and listen and, like really, really listen. But it's, yeah, I mean, and the more I share a lot about these tools and techniques, and I myself need them. Like, I'm not perfect. I struggle with things and worry and fear and interrupting or being in my head, overthinking. But when I come back to these practices and like do the exercises and techniques, it does help. I guess with anything like yoga, meditation, musical instruments, like everything's a practice. but you've shared so much about how these practices can help us with resilience and creativity in our own lives. So thank you. Is there anything that you haven't said or shared that you would like to before we close out?
Just I was thinking of another thing is conflict.
Mm,
I lead with conflict, apparently. I didn't know that. And it's easier. I find it difficult to do peas in a pod where two people are in agreement and they're both, us against the world and all that kind of thing. To this day, I find myself, oh man, instead of yes anding, I'm like, no, because boo, boo, boo. I'm like, what is wrong with me? So I guess I'm like, do I also do that in real life? So I would recommend that actually anybody should read your book, by the way, because you have a book coming out, right?
yes, I do. I do. It's all about this. Sharing stories like yours. Like, how do we handle
Mm,
anything? Because improvisers, we're trained to handle anything, right? We don't know what's going to
yeah.
happen. We don't have a script, but we figure it out. And sometimes it's funny and sometimes it just exists, but we survive.
Yeah. Oh, I bombed too. Trust me, it was awful. Then I have the good days.
But you live to tell the tale. You like no one. It's like the safest people will be like, I'm so scared from improv. I'm like, why? Improv's like the safest place ever. The world is scary. Improv is
Yeah. Oh
like
my gosh. Yeah.
so safe. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your story. I know that you're inspiring a lot of people, and you have one more person, me, that is now inspired by you and your story. And I think it's such a great example of when you improvise in life and you're finding the joy, you're adapting through change and shift and really embracing it and not resisting it. An example of what's possible. So thank you for sharing your light with us today, Lorraine.
Well, thank you for letting me.